Hi, Mom. I'm home. They're killing me at the office.
I'm sorry to hear that, dear.
Mom.
Yes, dear?
What do you have behind your back?
A knife, dear?
And what were you doing with it?
Sacrificing the vacuum cleaner?
Mom!
I'm sorry. I was just temporarily possessed.
Well, maybe that wouldn't happen as much if you stopped performing those rituals in the backyard.
Samuel, you know very well how much they've helped you. Why, just last week I made that voodoo doll of your boss.
He was just about to give me a raise when he keeled over.
I was just trying to help.
Well, stop helping.
And besides, I cook your food, I give you a roof over your head.
Mom, I'm 28. You want to throw me out? Fine.
Nonsense. You've got some dirt on your face.
Ma, will you stop that? I'm getting tired of putting up with this. Sacrificing appliances?
Well...
Come on.
Look, when you're possessed, you're possessed.
Why can't we be a normal family?
Normal's boring, dear.
And this is exciting? We just stay cooped up in this house all day, never go anywhere, never do anything.
What? Why, just last summer I took you to England.
I still can't believe you did that at Stonehenge.
It's a druid monument. I got caught up in the moment. Well, I'm sorry if my son is just too embarrassed to be seen with his own mother.
And I'll never forgive you for Charlie.
Charlie?
4th grade. I invited him over for dinner one night.
What did I do?
When I said I wanted to have Charlie for dinner, I didn't mean I wanted to have Charlie for dinner.
That was one of the finest dishes I ever prepared. And if I remember correctly, you still didn't clean your plate.
Listen, can you please just act normal for one night?
What's so special about tonight?
Well, I've been working late at the office.
That really isn't good for digestion, Samuel.
Well, the fact is, I haven't been working late. I've been seeing someone.
A girl? Is she pretty?
Gorgeous. But she insisted on meeting you.
I must make it a point to see her then.
She'll be here at 6 o'clock.
You could have given me more notice.
Yes, but I spent the last week trying to talk her out of it.
You didn't.
Please, Ma, don't judge her too quickly. And don't think you know what's best for me, like you did with Sarah.
Sarah is in a better place now.
Our refrigerator is not a better place.
Listen, dear, you go upstairs and get ready. I'll get started with dinner.
Mom, not Sarah, okay?
I'll get it. Come in, Mrs. Harris. Make yourself at home. Come down, dear. Mrs. Harris is here. How do you do, Mrs. Harris?
Fine, Mrs. Jones. Just fine.
Just a little neighborly
It's 20
visit.
hours.
Actually, no. I've been having a bit of domestic trouble. I thought maybe you could help me out.
There's nothing wrong with your husband, is there?
Now that you mention it, he was just diagnosed with cancer, probably terminal. Anyways, I was really more concerned about my dog.
Oh,
Bit peculiar lately.
Sam, I really think you should come down here.
Well, as you know, I like to hunt, but lately Rex has been much for hunting. He hasn't been much for anything. He kind of just sits there and whimpers. You don't know anything that could have happened to him, do you?
Sam, Mrs. Harris's dog has been acting strangely lately. You don't know what might be wrong, do you?
He just doesn't want to go outside anymore.
You mean like someone scared him out of his wits?
He was almost run over. Yes, that must have been it. He was almost hit by a truck and it gave him a scare.
We don't live on a very busy street, Mrs. Jones.
Oh, Mrs. Harris, would you like a cup of tea? I just made a pot.
Why, thank you, Mrs. Jones. That's awfully nice of you.
It's right over there in the kitchen. Just help yourself.
All right, Mom. What did you do?
Please don't be angry, dear. I did it for you.
For me?
Remember how a couple days ago you stepped in that pile of dog droppings?
Yes.
And you said you wished that old dog didn't, relieve himself quite so often.
Mother.
Well, it's true. Everywhere you look, there are dog feces. That cur goes more than your father used to. I swear. Mrs. Harris must feed him oat bran.
What did you do?
I mixed mix some of the medicine I take for diarrhea in with his food.
Diarrhea medicine? You mean Mrs. Harris's dog has been acting irregular because...
He's irregular.
I can't believe this. You fed... He's constipated?
But I did it for you. Don't you see? Everything is for you.
Quiet down. She'll hear you.
Relax. The tea is drugged.
Oh, okay. Wait a minute. How did you...
Oh, well,
You've been giving me tea every night lately.
Well, you've been having such trouble sleeping. A few tranquilizers never hurt anyone, Sam. Remember, I know what's best for you.
Well, this is just great. My own mother is drugging me. Mrs. Harris is half dead in the kitchen, and the most wonderful woman I've ever met is going to be here any minute. We better get Mrs. Harris back to her house before she comes. Give me a hand, okay?
Okay.
And I don't mean Sarah's.
I'll get it.
Mother, get back here. We'll put her in the closet. Elizabeth. Come in. Mother, this is Dr. Elizabeth McKay. Elizabeth, this is my mother.
Pleased to meet you, Mrs. Jones.
Oh, a doctor?
Nice place.
Let me take your coat.
Daniel was going to be a doctor, you know. He changed his mind right before he went into medical school. I never understood why. Why was that, dear?
Mom, don't you think you should be watching dinner? We don't want it to burn.
Of course, dear. Whatever you want.
Don't you think that was a little rude?
I'm sorry. I just needed to talk to you alone.
Why didn't you ever tell me you were going to be a doctor?
What?
Your mother said you were going to be a doctor.
She probably still put on a Band-Aid. When I was a little kid, I played with blocks, and she swore I'd be an architect. She never quit. Just last week, I sent a letter to my aunt. She asked me why the president hasn't named me Postmaster General yet.
Every mother in the world is like that. You've just got to accept her.
You don't understand. This woman is a witch.
You shouldn't say that.
No, I mean a real witch, just like in Hansel and Gretel. She's got toad's eyes in the cupboard.
That's what I love about you, Sam. You've got such a sense of humor.
Elizabeth, you can believe whatever you want, but please, let's not tell her. We'll just elope.
Sam Jones! Will you listen to yourself? I haven't even met this woman yet, and you want to elope? I don't want a rushed ceremony in some judge's chambers or in the crowded office of some justice of the peace. We deserve more than that. We deserve a big wedding with all our families and our friends.
But I'm just afraid of what she'll do.
What can she do? Just go up to her and say, Mother, Elizabeth and I love each other and we're going to get married. You may not like that, you may think that we're not ready, but we're getting married and I'd like to have your blessing, but if I can't, then it's your loss.
Well, I've never really confronted her like that before.
Well then, don't you think it's about time? I'm going upstairs to freshen up. You talk to your mother, okay?
The bathroom's upstairs, on the right. Mom! Mom, can you come down here for a minute?
Yes, dear?
Oh,
Elizabeth is such a nice girl. So polite and proper and pretty and a doctor, too. She's such a sweet little darling. I hope you'll be seeing more of her.
Elizabeth and I love each other and we're going to get married.
That slut. You're going to marry that cheap bimbo? I thought I raised my son better than to marry any old strumpet right off the street.
Mother!
Out of the blue, he's going to abandon me. I spent hour after grueling labor in childbirth to bring him into the world, and...
You had a cesarean.
What do you know? And after all that, I clothed you, I put a roof over your head, I fed you.
Half the time, it was my old girlfriend.
And I haven't even mentioned your conception. That was no picnic either. Come to think of it, maybe we were at a picnic. Anyway, your father was not a good-looking man. Why do you think you're an only child?
Mother, you can't keep me here forever.
Why not?
I love her. You may not like it, but we're getting married.
Love. Love doesn't have anything to do with marriage. Do you think your father and I got married because we were in love? Did I ever tell you the story?
Many times.
Well, sit down. You're going to hear it again. My father, your grandfather, one day decided that it was about time I got married, and I was going to live under the same roof with him, not run off like you want to do. Well, soon after he made this decision, a traveling salesman came to our door. Papa whipped out his shotgun and said, You're gonna marry this chick.
How romantic.
Romance isn't something that just happens. It's something you have to force after years of listening to your parents moan about not having grandchildren.
Interesting reptile collection, Mrs. Jones.
Elizabeth, dear, good to have you back.
Mother, you don't have to put on an act.
Act? Whatever do you mean? I'd just love to meet your parents, Elizabeth. Do you have any pictures of them?
Yes, I think I have one of my parents in my wallet. I didn't bring my purse. It must be in my coat pocket.
It's in the closet. The closet!
What am I doing in here?
That's exactly what I'd like to know. What were you doing in my closet, Mrs. Harris?
Huh?
Yeah, what gives you the right to go sneaking around in other people's closets?
Now, wait a minute. I was just having a nice cup of tea when all of a sudden this poor thing just started screaming her head off. Next thing I know, I'm in this closet.
Well, I'm not strong enough to have put you in the closet and dragged you all the way from the kitchen.
I just got here.
Who, me? Why would I stuff you in a closet, Mrs. Harris?
Why, indeed.
But that's absurd. If you were in the kitchen, why wouldn't I have just thrown you in the pantry?
Why didn't you put him in the pantry?
Shut up, Mom.
I'm getting an explanation of this if I'm going to stay here all night.
Well,
Come now, Mrs. Harris. Settle down. Why don't I fix you another cup of tea?
Sam, what just happened here?
Elizabeth, Mother is eccentric, or rather psychotic. We don't do things like other people. We don't even do things like other species. Listen to me. Let's just get out of here. I'll get away from this place. We can get married, and just like in a fairy tale, I've got a suitcase packed upstairs. We can just...
Sam, get a grip. So your mother's a bit protective.
I'm worried about you, Elizabeth. There's no telling what she could do.
This isn't like you, Sam. What did she say when you told her?
She just went crazy. She was hysterical.
That was not a woman who was hysterical. You never told her.
But I did.
Don't lie to me, Sam. How are we ever going to have a successful marriage if we aren't completely truthful with one another? Sam, please, just go into the kitchen and tell her. For me?
For you, anything.
What?
Elizabeth, could you go upstairs for a minute?
Upstairs.
It's just, there's something we need to take care of. About dinner.
What's wrong?
Just, please.
We can't avoid it forever.
I know. I can't believe it. I can't believe you did it.
I needed something to cook for dinner tonight.
Do you think you can just kill a person and that will be it? Do you think that Mr. Harris will simply not notice when his wife just doesn't come home?
Of course he won't notice. He came to the back door to borrow a cup of flour. He's in the freezer right now.
How can you do this? That's the third couple in that house to disappear. People are going to start to wonder.
Well, Mrs. Harris was always dropping hints about how she wanted to go to Niagara Falls. We'll just tell everyone that they went on their second honeymoon.
But they're not coming back.
We can tell them they were leaning a bit too far over the railing, and you can write the obituary. You're very clever at those, Samuel.
I thought they had us for sure last time. This time we may not be so lucky.
Then a few more cops disappear. Big deal.
Mom, when are you going to learn that you can't just kill people because you don't have time to go to the grocery store?
This is great. This is just great. I try to prepare a nice dinner for my son, and this is the thanks I get. I'm not perfect, but I try. I try so hard to please you, but it's never enough.
Oh, Ma, don't cry. Why do you always have to interfere?
Interfere?
Don't give me that. Why do you... I know all of your little tricks. Ma, I know you. I know you and everything you've done.
What's wrong?
I hate you.
And I hate you too, dear.
If it weren't for you, Dad would still be here.
Your father was a bat.
Dad was not a rat.
I didn't say he was a rat. I said he was a bat. The man was a vampire. One night he changed into a bat and flew away.
That's not true. Admit it. You opened the blinds on him in the daytime. You were dusting for weeks after he disappeared.
Sam, sit down. I have another story to tell you.
Wonderful. Just what I needed.
Your father wasn't a vampire, Samuel. He was an ordinary human being. Do you remember when your father disappeared?
It was my 8th birthday.
And you remember what you asked for on your 8th birthday?
I don't know. A new bike?
You asked for a nice big steak dinner. Well, I forgot to go to the store, and your father was right there.
You cooked, Daddy?
I did it for you. My son wanted steak, and what my son wants, he gets.
How could you do that?
I didn't want you to be disappointed.
And do I look like I'm having fun now?
I just want you to be happy.
I can be perfectly happy without you making voodoo dolls of my bosses and meatballs of my girlfriends. Furthermore, I can be perfectly happy with neighbors, even if they are hicks, and even if their dog is a 1 canine manure factory. Furthermore, I can be perfectly happy with Elizabeth, which is why I'm going to go upstairs and get my bag and leave, and I'm not going to look back.
No! Don't leave me! You're my whole life! Everything is for you! You can't leave me! I'll have nothing if you leave!
Are you okay, Mrs. Jones?
Oh, fine. Just cleaning the floor with my tears. And how are you, Elizabeth?
I'm fine.
Fine. Did you hear that, Samuel? Elizabeth is fine. I'm fine. If you're fine, then we'll all be just fine.
No, Mother, I am most certainly not fine. Come on, Elizabeth, we're leaving.
But you haven't said why you're going.
What? You still haven't told her?
Told me what?
That we're getting married?
Married? How wonderful. Congratulations.
Come on, Elizabeth.
What's the rush? I think your mother was just about to give us her blessing.
My blessing? Well, of course you have my blessing. Nothing could please me more than to see my son married to such a splendid woman, and a doctor, too. Oh, but I hope you weren't planning to elope. You deserve more than that. You two owe it to yourselves to have a big fancy wedding.
Why, thank you, Mrs. Jones.
Thank you, Mrs. Jones. Or will you be keeping your maiden name?
Mother, how can you do this? You're making me look like a fool.
You don't need any help, Sam.
Oh, let me get a camera. I want to preserve this moment.
You know what? I'm starting to think that you're the weird one now.
That's probably her plan. She doesn't want us to get married. She'll do anything to keep me here.
Then why would she give us her blessing?
Does this room look like it was decorated by a rational person? Listen, let's just try to make it through the night. Mother is trying to try every trick in the book, so be on your guard. We'll just make it through dinner, and then...
I've got the camera now. Yes, go over there. Good, good. Now smile. Well, I'd better go finish up dinner.
What are you preparing, Mrs. Jones?
You don't want to know.
Samuel, might I speak to Elizabeth for a moment?
Oh no, I'm not leaving you alone with her. I've learned a few things since Sarah.
Sarah.
It's nothing. Elizabeth, sit down. There are a few things we need to discuss.
Well, certainly.
It's just that Samuel tends to leave a few things out.
Like what?
Oh, I understand, Mrs. Jones. We all have selective memory once in a while.
There, you see, I knew you'd understand.
Well, of course.
Before you get married, there's something you need to know about my son.
Yes?
He was castrated in a bizarre accident.
I was not.
He was trimming the bushes and he slipped on these dog feces.
Mother, that's absurd.
Then prove it. Drop your shorts.
I don't think it's possible for anyone to, well, lose their la-las in quite that fashion.
You're right. I was just trying to protect my... You see, Sam is short for Samantha.
I assure you, Mrs. Jones, your son is every bit man.
And just how do you know, Missy? I refuse to allow my son to marry such a loose and unprincipled woman.
She's my doctor, Ma. Remember?
That's right. He can't marry you. We're Christian Scientists.
We are not.
Eddie Baker must be rolling over in his grave.
It's Mary Baker Eddy, Mom.
Whatever. I withdraw my consent.
Fine, now you won't be there to screw up the wedding.
What? You're going to go through with the wedding? Without your own mother? After all I've done for you? After I brought you into this world and clothed you and fed you and put a roof over your head? You're going to abandon me? How could you do that? How could you?
Guilt won't get you anywhere, Mom.
How about cash?
What?
Elizabeth, I'll be frank with you. My father was a very wealthy man. He left quite a legacy.
Oh, I see now. You want to make sure that I'm not marrying Sam for the money.
No. If he marries you, I won't give him a dime. I was going to offer you $50,000 if you leave him alone.
Mother, you can't bribe her. We're in love.
Would that be tax-free?
Elizabeth.
Sam, you know I wouldn't accept money for something like that. Even if it would mean that I could get that new boat and...
Elizabeth!
Relax. This just confirms what you said about your mother. Mrs. Jones, don't you see that I love your son and that he loves me?
Do I look like I care?
Don't you want him to be happy?
I'll decide what makes him happy.
He's got to live his own life.
But he's all I have.
Don't you understand? Once he's gone, he'll still be your son, and I'll be your daughter.
Daughter?
Yes!
I never really thought of it that way.
Yes, Mrs. Jones, your daughter.
And maybe even grandchildren?
And maybe even grandchildren.
Perhaps it won't be that bad after all.
Come, let me help you with dinner. Oh my gosh!
What is it?
It's Mrs. Harris! Someone killed her! She's been dismembered and all her entrails!
How horrible!
I better call the police!
No, I mean, you're so upset. I should call them.
I just feel awful. She was killed right here in this house. We were squabbling and then an innocent woman was killed.
Elizabeth. My mother killed her.
What?
My mother killed Mrs. Harris. Do you see now why I was so concerned about you? Do you see now why I didn't want to tell her?
But why would she?
That's not important right now. What's important is that we get out of here. I'll get my suitcase. Come with me.
Not so fast.
Mother, how are you?
Samuel, go to your room. I have some business to discuss with Elizabeth.
No.
Samuel, Lucifer, Jones, you go upstairs this instant.
No.
What was that, Samuel? I couldn't possibly have hurt you, right?
I said no, Mama.
I can't believe this. My own son, the one I brought into the world and fed and...
Mother, I'm leaving.
No, let me tell you a story.
No more stories.
Quit! A few years ago, I went to a Satanist convention, and there was an argument over what the human sacrifice should be. Some people said it should be a newborn, but I pointed out that in groups larger than 13, a virgin was appropriate. Well, Mr. Johnson was there. You met Mr. Johnson, right? The gentleman with the horns? He said that technically a newborn is a virgin, so if we sacrifice the child, it would cover both areas. But everyone knows that you're not supposed to sacrifice a virgin until she's at least 16.
Is there a point to this story?
Why does there always have to be a point? That's the problem with you kids today. There has to be a reason for everything. There has to be a stimulus for rioting, and a motive for murder, and a just cause for going to war. Aren't death and destruction their own reward anymore?
Mother, you've got to stop killing off my girlfriends. You can't murder everyone I fall in love with. You keep me here thinking that if I'm here, I'll love you. But love isn't captive. It can't be.
What are you saying?
I love Elizabeth, and I'm going to marry her. But that doesn't mean I'll stop loving you.
Mrs. Jones? Mom? Give me the knife.
Thank you, Mom. I'm going to go upstairs and get my bag now.
I'd better put this away.
No, that would be far too kind.
What are you doing? Stop, you're hurting me!
I've never kicked a person alive before. How would you like to be the first?
Help, Sam, save me!
Elizabeth! Elizabeth, is that you?
He turned away for a minute and stepped in front of the oven. And I just pushed her in.
You did it, Elizabeth! You freed me, you did it!
It's like something from out of a fairy tale.
Hansel and Gretel!
Happily ever after.
Let's get out of here.
Take me away, Sam.
We'll get married.
We'll have lots of kids.
Kids. We never talked about...
Well, of course we will. We don't have to start right away.
Oh.
Oh, Sam, will marriage be wonderful? I won't have to worry about making myself look attractive every morning. You'll stop looking at other women.
Well...
Domestic bliss for the rest of our lives.
The rest of our lives.
But I'm jumping ahead of myself. You'll have to meet my parents first.
Your parents.
Oh, I'm sorry. Our parents. I'll get your suitcase. Sam, could you give me a hand with this? Samuel, now!
Yes, dear.